In the history of the fighting game genre, none have attained the notoriety and legacy of Mortal Kombat. While Street Fighter was dominating the arcades in the early 90s, Mortal Kombat came in to rip the spines of its competition. Seeing the popularity, producer Lawrence Kasanoff acquired the rights to adapt the game to a feature film. The first Mortal Kombat movie was released in 1995 and was a smash hit, grossing over $120 million worldwide. Following its success, the studio fast-tracked a sequel, and in 1997, Mortal Kombat Annihilation hit theaters. Despite having twice the original movie's budget, the film only made slightly over $50 million worldwide. Then in 2021, a gritty, R-rated Mortal Kombat movie hit theaters and HBO Max to a divisive response. Of the three adaptations, only the 1995 movie has successfully captured the spirit of the games while also being an entertaining action fantasy film. For this video, I'll break down each movie into 5 points: story, characters, accuracy to the source material, action, and general filmmaking. So make sure you get plenty of quarters and as we examine all 3 live-action Mortal Kombat movies.
It has begun!
The Emperor's demon sorcerer, Shang Tsung, and his warriors have to win 10 straight victories in Mortal Kombat. They have won 9.
In Mortal Kombat 95, 3 fighters, Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage, are chosen by the Thunder God Raiden to compete in Mortal Kombat. Each character has a personal reason to enter the tournament, but their ultimate goal is to win so that dark forces don't invade Earth.
The fate of billions will depend upon you. Sorry.
In Mortal Kombat Annihilation, Shao Kahn arrives to announce that he will merge Earth with Outworld in 6 days. Raiden has the remaining characters split up to find someone who will help them stop Shao Kahn. Liu Kang must search for Nightwolf to learn his animality, Sonya journeys to see her friend Jax, and Kitana gets kidnapped because she's essential.
Suckers!
In Mortal Kombat 21, Outworld Emperor Shang Tsung is hunting down MMA fighter Cole Young. It turns out Cole is a descendant of Hanzo Hasashi, aka Scorpion, and according to a prophecy, Cole is the only one who can stop Shang Tsung. Cole also has a strange serpent-like mark that will unlock a unique ability. He gets help from Sonya Blade and Jax, and goes to the Temple of Lord Rain to train with Liu Kang and Kung Lao. As Shang Tsung gathers his forces, Cole must unlock his power to triumph over evil. While the 95 film has a fairly basic story, this simplicity makes it work. There are enough references to the games where fans can get behind them. At the same time, it's easily digestible for general audiences to enjoy. It helps the story focuses on 3 central characters, each with their own motivations and lessons learned along the way. Whereas with Mortal Kombat Annihilation, you get so many new characters randomly introduced with no explanation. The plot, thin as it is, takes a backseat almost every 5 minutes to throw in a fight scene. The original had plenty of fights, but it took plenty of time to further the story and develop the characters. It doesn't help that most of the dialogue is just endless exposition to fill in the missing gaps.
Because legend has it, the princess is the key to stopping Khan's plot. 2 days ago, Khan reprogrammed Smoke to come after you instead of me. In order to keep you...
The producers decided to target fans with Annihilation rather than the general audience. There's nothing wrong with trying to appeal to the fans, but if you want a more significant return on investment, you need to appeal to more than just the hardcore fan base. In the 2021 reboot, the story is just as needlessly complicated as in Annihilation. Granted, it's not as bad as that movie, but again, there's so much going on that it's hard to understand what's happening. It doesn't help either that the filmmakers tried adding a surrogate character as the lead rather than focusing on familiar characters. All this talk about the Serpent Mark, unlocking a hidden power, and family legacy, yet there's not even a Mortal Kombat tournament. Of course, they're saving that for the sequel, which is not how you do things. Again, the original worked because it had a relatively simple story that, even if you're not a diehard MK fan, you can still wrap your head around it. While it does have a cliffhanger, it's still a perfectly self-contained story that you can enjoy all on its own.
Fatality. Shang Tsung's power can be destroyed by mortal men and women. You can overcome any adversary, no matter how bizarre their powers may seem.
Mortal Kombat 95 focuses on 3 primary characters: Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, and Johnny Cage. The clear-cut villain Shang Tsung, the mentor figure Raiden, and various side characters further the plot. The small cast helps focus the film and makes things easy enough for the audience to get behind. Mortal Kombat Annihilation has many of the same characters, but the studio replaced them for various reasons. Except for Liu Kang and Kitana, there's a different actor for each returning character. Having a diverse cast can alienate your audience. It doesn't help that the replacement actors have the charisma of a cinder block.
You lost Kitana and you picked up her?
Also, since the producers wanted to appeal more to the fans for the sequel, they added a bunch of other characters from MK3 and 4 with no explanation given. I can't imagine fans getting excited to see characters like Cyrax and Nightwolf show up for about 5 minutes and leave. In MK21, most of the characters from the original movie and some lesser-known characters from the games like Natara, Raiko, and Cabal appear. However, like in Annihilation, the new characters feel like added fan service rather than fully realized three-dimensional characters. The film attempts to introduce a new character as an audience surrogate, whereas the original managed to do so with already established characters. What's worse is that the surrogate character, Cole, is such a bland and forgettable lead. Maybe the sequel will make him more interesting, but I highly doubt that.
You know, maybe your Arcana's getting your ass kicked by a hat.
Hey!
Whoa!
There it is.
Hey.
Is Kano f***ing drunk?
Those muscles are all for show. You can't do shit. Right.
Honestly.
In terms of accuracy, that's difficult to say. None of the movies are 100% accurate to the games regarding faithfulness to the story and characters. However, in terms of capturing the spirit of the games, the 95 film manages to do that successfully. The 21 film captures the feel of the newer games, but it doesn't do much to acknowledge the series' roots like those games. As for Annihilation, given how chaotic and jumbled it is, this is most likely what people who haven't played Mortal Kombat think the games are like, minus the gore. Again, this aspect is hard to quantify, but I'd have to give the edge to the 95 film for capturing the fun and exciting spirit of the games that started it all.
Flawless victory. Get over here!
What would a Mortal Kombat movie be without some action? If you're going to adapt a fighting game, you'd better have some fights. Thankfully, each version has plenty of fight scenes, but which one does it better? The 95 original has some of the best fight scenes of any action film ever made. It helps that the cast consisted of actors who practiced martial arts and boxing. For instance, Lyndon Ashby, who played Johnny Cage, studied karate, taekwondo, and kung fu before starring in the film. Interestingly enough, when the studio first showed the movie to test audiences, they wanted more fight scenes. This feedback led to them including an extended fight between Johnny Cage and Scorpion and a brawl between Liu Kang and the human form of Reptile. Thankfully, the filmmakers were able to work these into the movie so that they enhance it rather than detract from it. Since MK Annihilation was meant to appeal more to fans of the games than casual audiences, the sequel had to have more fight scenes, context be damned. Every 5 minutes, there's another fight scene going on, and it gets to the point that they become exhausting. A fighting game movie should have fighting in it, but it's hard to care about the fights without any story or context to go along with it. What makes it even worse is that the constant slow motion and quick cuts hamper the fight scenes, making it hard to tell what's happening. There's nothing wrong with trying to appeal to your core audience, but you shouldn't try to exclude other people from being able to enjoy your movie. With the 21 reboot, the filmmakers tried to push the R rating. While the other films refrained from blood, the reboot embraced the gore that made the series so infamous. Anyone who complained that the 95 film was too soft can watch this movie and revel in the carnage and bloodshed. However, we know so little about the characters that it's hard to get excited about the fight scenes. Honestly, the only fight sequence I cared about was the Scorpion vs. Sub-Zero fight. If you want to see blood and gore and something Mortal Kombat related, just play any of the games in the franchise, especially the newer ones. You'll get all the viscera you want without wasting 2 hours.
Flawless victory unlocked.
I gotta do something.
When producer Lawrence Kasanoff hired Paul W.S. Anderson to direct Mortal Kombat, he only had one feature film, 1994's Shopping. He was a gamer and a huge fan of Mortal Kombat. Kasanoff was confident that this hip, fresh, and young director would be what they were looking for. Anderson showed talent and potential for a novice filmmaker. He had tons of experienced cast and crew members to help him. Unlike most modern-day action films that rely on quick cuts and shaky camera work, Anderson keeps the action in focus and uses as few cuts as possible to make the scenes flow. While some CGI looks dated by today's standards, the effects were revolutionary back then and were unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. It helps that they mixed in some practical effects with the CGI instead of relying wholly on the CGI. For instance, the Goro puppet they designed looked incredible, especially considering how often it broke down. For a film that cost $20 million and had little to no support from the studio, they created an exciting and memorable movie that surprised everyone. Since Anderson declined to direct Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the studio promoted the first film's DOP, John R. Leonetti, to director. He also had minimal directing experience like Anderson, but Anderson at least had one movie before his big studio debut. While it's easy to blame Leonetti for the sequel, the studio shares plenty of that blame. They were so excited over how the first film turned out that they rushed production on the sequel. You can tell how rushed it is given the worst looking CGI, the lack of characterization, and the emphasis on fight sequences over a compelling narrative. It's almost impressive how worse the effects are, considering this had a much larger budget than the original. As for Leonetti's direction, it's at least competent, though he relies a little too much on Dutch angles, though not as much as Roger Christian with Battlefield Earth. Then again, it's not surprising that the film looks decent considering Leonetti's background, but assigning on camera angles isn't enough to be a director. I'd say Leonetti wasn't cut out for directing, but considering he went on to make The Butterfly Effect 2 and Annabelle, maybe he was. For the 2021 reboot, the studio hired Simon McQuoid, whose prior experience was in commercials. I'm noticing a pattern of first-time directors hired for these video game movies. That said, McQuoid does a decent job with the reboot. He uses plenty of wide angles and sweeping camera movements to make the action more dynamic. The fight scenes aren't bogged down by constant slow motion and quick cuts like Annihilation, which it certainly gets points for. Unfortunately, this movie relies almost too much on CGI, making everything look like a cartoon. It says a lot when the puppet Goro from 1995 looks much better than the entirely CGI Goro in the new one. Also, the movie suffers from a problem many modern movies suffer, the lack of color. Everything is so desaturated that it looks ugly and nothing pops. I'm not saying a Mortal Kombat movie should be bright and colorful, but a little color could go a long way to make things more lively.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
I guess you knew it would end this way. Didn't have a clue. You humans are so unpredictable.
It's easy to see why the 95 film is the best Mortal Kombat movie. The story is easy to follow, the characters are well developed, the fight scenes are exciting without overwhelming the audience, it stays faithful to the source material, and it's the most well made. The sequel was an outright disaster, and the 2021 reboot had plenty of potential, but it fell short. The 95 film has its problems, but it's easily the best video game movie to date. However, regardless of whether the films get better or worse, the games will continue to dominate the fighting game genre for years to come.
Flawless victory.
But with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about this in the comments below. If you want to support me in a more personal way, you can always check out my Patreon. And of course, check out the website, film-nerd.com. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Look forward to more videos and more reviews coming out soon. And until then, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Come to a little tournament, he said. Be good for the career, he said. Yeah, right.